Stop, listen, and ask yourself, have you ever pondered at the idea that there may be something to the other side? If so, and you're hearing my voice for the first time, then you may have just fallen into the void.
This is Liz from New York, and I'm following with G-Man into the void.
Well, hey there, hello there, and welcome to a frightfully episode of Into the Void, where we talk about anything and everything paranormal. I am your ghost host with the most, G-Man, bringing you the latest in stories, insight, news, and even pop culture events. As always, before we dive into our cauldron of fun, I would like to take a moment and thank our many listeners for following with us. Your support and contributions truly help make this show possible. And for that, on behalf of the entire team, we thank you. Remember, you can make a contribution to the show by joining our Patreon. Your support helps make this show and future endeavors possible. Find us on patreon.com/intothevoidpod. That's patreon.com/intothevoidpod. Well, listener, I imagine you're just as anxious as I am and can't wait to get this episode underway. And before we do, a big shout out to Delectable Nightmares. Not a sponsor of the show, but I wanted to give them a shout out and thank them for their amazing t-shirts and accessories that were sent to the show. If you're looking to trick or treat yourself this year, then check out their Instagram page at Delectable Nightmares. And what kind of podcast show would we be without a word from our sponsor? Looking for quality Viking apparel inspired by the Norse gods of old? Well, there's only one place you can be sure to find the gear you're searching for: VikingJeans.com. Unlike other Viking-themed retailers, Viking Jeans supplies handcrafted jewelry, watches, home decor, and apparel. They even forge and engrave steel axes. Viking Jeans is sure to have something to satisfy your fascination towards Norse mythology. Be sure to visit VikingJeans.com. That's VikingJeans.com. Well, listener, let's keep that spooky vibe alive. I have with me two amazing co-hosts who are ready to get this monster mash underway. First, you know him as the sound man for the show. But if you're joining us for the first time, I'm happy to announce that he has a podcast of his own called Keeping Up with the Nerds Variety Hour. Bats and ghouls, you know him, you love him. I give you Rene, winner, chicken dinner, bravo.
There's always a new one every time.
I love giving you new nicknames every single time. I almost gave you the same nickname though when I was working on this.
What was last week's?
It wasn't last week's. It was actually the first season.
Yeah, what was
I almost gave you the same one.
Okay.
I can't remember right now, but
okay.
I was listening to it last night and I was like, oh, we got to change this real fast.
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
And now, listener, if at this very moment you start to sense an odd and eerie chill in the air, then that could only mean one thing, bats and ghouls. Turn down your AC and turn up the volume because things are about to get very strange in here with The Strange One.
Hey, everybody. Hey, listeners. Welcome back. Excited to do a new show and let you know what's new in the world of the paranormal.
What's going on, Strange One?
A whole lot and a whole lot of nothing.
Right. Story of my life. So, gentlemen and listener, as you may or may not be aware, we are only 3 months away from October.
Wow. That's almost 90 days.
So that means we are 3 months away from some exciting fun, some ghoulish fun, and dare I say, haunting fun? Dare I say it?
Dare you say it?
I double dog dare you.
I don't.
Now, I know with the continuation of this ongoing pandemic, it's hard to really know what types of Halloween events and activities will be happening. As we recently learned, this year's Halloween Haunt event, the Queen Mary's Dark Harbor, will not be taking place. And I got to say, guys, I'm very disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's understandable, but it's disappointing. At the
It's
same
not
time.
at the same time.
Yeah.
To have it taken away from you. I
Yeah.
think that's what's sad about
You know,
it.
that's... So with that in mind, though, it kind of makes me wonder. Actually, it doesn't even kind of makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder.
Yeah.
Is Halloween even going to happen this year?
That's a
It
big
is in my
question.
house. Yeah, I live alone. So. Just me and my spooks.
A bowl full of candy.
Right? Yeah. Just a bowl full of candy, and that's about it. I mean,
hocus pocus.
Here's my question: What events are we even going to look forward to this year? And here's another question: How are we going to get our spooky supply?
Oh man.
You know,
That's a very good question. Yeah.
yeah. Well, here on Into the Void, we have just the person to provide us with an update on an event that should satisfy your Halloween needs. So joining us today is the co-producer of what looks to be a very exciting event, Bats and Ghouls, from CREEP IT REAL O.C. Expo. I give you Mr. Kevin Valentine.
Hi, creepsters. How's it going? Thanks for having me here.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, we were
course.
looking forward to it. We're just like, okay, so is he going to come? We're going to make sure that
Oh, great.
we're preparing. There was a lot of preparation to make sure that we were ready.
It's awesome. I'm
excited
glad
to have you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Can I just say, it is truly an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to have you here, sir.
Really?
Thank you.
Well, why is that? That's quite an introduction.
So the reason why I am very honored to have you, sir, is because I have watched over and over and over this video of CREEP IT REAL O.C. Where you guys had the first CREEP IT REAL.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I'm impressed by the whole thing.
Wow.
Now, last year, Rene and I were talking about this, and I went to Midsummer Scream, and I had been there before, and I talked about it, how amazing it was, how grand it is, and it really is. But there's something about your expo that is so simple and yet so family friendly at the same time. And again, thank you so much for being here. This is truly exciting.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, quite a kind of a homegrown feel, which is exactly what it was.
Right.
Like I said, we started out last year, and it was really just this kind of, hey, can we do a thing where we get people together, and we have we kind of considered a marketplace style expo. We had vendors, and we had music and food and things like that. And it was really fun because it was just this. It was like you said, the scale was simple, and it was just this kind of people come out and representing kind of the local area.
Right.
So it was Orange County. We had it in South Orange County in the city of Laguna Niguel. Now, it's various circumstances, but I'm really glad we're not there this year because we found a fantastic venue, and we were scouting and we secured this place in early March before everything happened. Right?
Oh,
the before
early
times.
on. Okay.
So we just lucked out that this is an outdoor museum called the Heritage Museum of Orange County, and it's fantastic.
Beautiful area.
Yeah, we went there, and I remembered. Yeah, I used to go there as a kid in school. We had field trips there, and so it's an educational, location, and they host all kinds of events and things. But I was like, this is the perfect kind of environment because it's very Halloween. You just walk around and you're like, oh, this is a great Halloween theme. I mean, of course, we don't have to do anything to it, really.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. And
it's got a sense, like a naturalness of it that
Yeah.
just automatically just gives you that Halloween vibe and Halloween feel to it.
yeah. And then, so as things started happening, it's in March and, where things are closing down. We're like, oh, okay, well, we locked in. Then we start seeing things fall from, there's a big event that happens at the LA County Fair, got canceled. Midsummer Scream, obviously. Dark Harbor, you just mentioned. So all these things are starting to go away. And, like you had said, I get it. I understand why. And those are a little bit more bigger. You plan these massive venues, and you've got to have, load-ins, indoor facility. People have travel arrangements, things like that. It's a big thing. I think that our luck is just that we're a smaller event at an outdoor venue, and it's local, and people can show up, and it's a very strolling kind of atmosphere. You walk around, and just like, wow, this is a fun little place to be.
Yeah.
Whether or not you have vendors, and once you pack in, music and food and vendors and things like that, it's just going to be a great atmosphere. And so, to drone on, I'm just excited about doing it because as the time goes, everybody's going, are you guys still going to have it? I really hope so. Fingers crossed. It's going to be fantastic. I really hope we can go. I hope we can go. And we're getting tickets, and vendors are joining. And so there's a little bit of that, just that excitement. And yeah, so I'm really stoked.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So what exactly is CREEP IT REAL O.C.? Now we know it's an expo, but coming from you, what is CREEP IT REAL O.C. to you?
Well, I always like to think of it as this celebration of local haunt culture and Halloween enthusiasts, really the people who are into this kind of this genre all year long, really.
Okay.
There's lots of those folks, and it's all year long, but we happen to be located at the kind of the crossroads of like the start of the season, really.
Oh, okay.
So what I think was really great about, last year was a little bit later in September when we held it. And then we get things like events, Knott's and Universal and everybody are ramping up already, and they're already going. And so we thought, what a great opportunity to kind of have it a little bit earlier, so that those folks can come and join us, and we can have some representation, because it's really like that kickoff. There's merchandise and costumes and things like that. So it's almost like, here it is, it's after summer, and now we're getting ready for Halloween. It's still a little bit away, still about a month away, but it's going to be, great when that happens. So our event's on September 13th, so about 2 months out.
Awesome. That is fantastic.
Really exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So you run a Halloween Expo. You've got all these vendors and suppliers of different types of Halloween accessories and giveaways and all that. Do you love Halloween?
Yeah, what's great about this story? So my wife and I are the producers. Her birthday is right around Halloween, and so she's always grown up with Halloween. Like her birthdays were always Halloween stuff.
That's awesome.
And so when we got together, we had a kind of a different viewpoint. I love Halloween, and I loved it from like when I was a kid, and then as I grew up, that kind of translates into I love the Halloween feel, like the autumn, fall kind of thing. I can't say that I'm really into like the horror genre, but what I've loved about this, I just love the season. I love that turning of the post summer and it's Halloween time, and it is great. And I have kids, and so now I'm seeing it through through their eyes as well.
Yes, absolutely.
But what's really great is when we started this, we thought, what a great way to the company that we run, we've done events and things. So we thought, what a great opportunity to do this for Halloween and bring people together, and it's getting to meet people from the community and really hear what they're all about and what they love and the passion. I'm so into it. It's just fantastic. I love it now. So yes, Halloween, big fan. To answer your question,
awesome.
And it's more than just that. Like, hey, do you like Halloween? Because I think anybody on the outside is probably going to just think, yeah, sure, I like trick or treating, or I like horror movies and things like that. But this group of people that come out to celebrate Halloween and to just really take part in it, it's that gathering, the community. And I think if I was to contrast, this year, I think that's what I'm most excited about, because everything that we've heard from people that are either coming or that are representing there as vendors, they're like, I'm so excited to have an outreach, like a way to get people to see people face to face and to get out of the house, and right. So we want to get together with people, and we want to see them, and we want to have that face to face interaction. So from an event standpoint, that stuff is what you need. You always have to have that human interaction. And I mean, I don't know. It just keeps this, as the summer rolls on, we might be the first thing to happen. And so we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Awesome.
That's great.
Last year's event drew in quite a big crowd. Are you expecting to have as big with this continued pandemic?
I don't know. I think my expectation is that, yes, we do have the people who are really diehard and they can't wait. We have heard from some people, like vendors, for example, we've reached out to, and they say, well, I'm not sure that I'm ready yet. They haven't, nobody's really outright no. As you guys know, things change so often here on a daily, weekly basis. It's like
absolutely.
We're kind of going back and forth on things.
Absolutely.
But people are being cautious. I get it from a vendor standpoint. Now, visitors, will they come? I think that if given the opportunity to show up and look around and just kind of celebrate, I think that we're going to see a bigger draw. The one thing that that I'm still kind of waiting to see is how much we are allowed to have, if we need to cap our attendance, basically. But that's the fortunate thing about this outdoor venue. It's really spread out. We've got a lot of space, and it's not like a traditional, the thing that gives us encouragement is that we are seeing food truck parties and farmers markets and things that happen now.
Yeah.
And I can see us kind of in the same vein as that. From a standpoint of it's, outdoor strolling down aisles and there's vendors and stuff. And food. Right. So we have that. And that if the event was to happen today, we can do that. Our venue that we're hosting that is open to the public. On weekends, you make reservations, but they're out there and they're you're available to stroll through. And so when it comes to this venue, I think that this event, I think it's really just going to be people want to get out and come and say hi and see things. So I'm real excited about it.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, listen, I got to say, guys, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm super eager to learn more and discuss details of the upcoming CREEP IT REAL O.C. Expo, and we will. But before we do, here's a word from our sponsor.
By Odin's beard,
You would not believe the amazing findings at VikingJeans.com. From handcrafted jewelry to home decor, to clothing and apparel from infants to adults, VikingJeans.com has something for the Norse fanatic in everyone. I, for one, have my eye on the great Yggdrasil handmade wooden watch. Looking to impress that special shield maiden? Why not stun her with Molnir, a handmade pendant and necklace? The beauty and craftsmanship that goes into each piece of art is as though each item was crafted by the gods themselves. Be sure to find yours at VikingJeans.com. That's VikingJeans.com. Okay, and we are back and talking with Kevin Valentine, the co-producer of CREEP IT REAL O.C. Now, getting back to the expo, Mr. Valentine, Kevin,
Yes.
last year you held the event at the Senior C County Community Center in Laguna Niguel, California. That is a mouthful to say.
Sea Country.
Sea Country.
Senior and Community Center. Yeah.
Yeah, we should just go with Sea Country.
Right.
So this year it's going to be held, like you said, at the Heritage Museum of Orange County, which is, like you said before, a much larger venue. Was there any particular reason why you chose this location to host your event?
So in searching for a place that we could have it this year, I think for me, I'm really into show and just experience, right? And so I was looking for something that was not a traditional expo that would take place in a hall where you've got rows of vendors with pipe and drape. And fluorescent lighting, right? So I wanted something that was a little bit more experiential. Is that a word? Yeah, experience about the experience and so the natural surroundings and things. So now we did find a couple of venues that were just really neat looking and like, oh, what a great place to hold like a Halloween party type of thing.
Okay.
Fortunately, we just, like I said before, it was just luck. We happened to go with this one, and we would have been canceled already a long time ago if it was this indoor facility that is likely closed and probably wouldn't even answer our phone calls.
Right.
At that, back in April, May thing, a time frame. But again, like I said, this venue is open. When we strolled through, it was a relationship that my wife had with the now the interim executive director of the venue, who had done some previous work before, and we met and looked around and we said, oh, gosh, this is perfect because, like I said before, you don't have to really spruce it up. It is just a great place. So I think I had said in some other some interviews, like, you can, if you're a cosplayer, you want to just come and dress up, it's just fun to take pictures, right? It's a great place to just go and stroll, and it's outdoors. It's going to be sunny and beautiful.
Fantastic.
And great surroundings for pictures. And then we've got the benefit of all the other things that have, are kind of our expo style.
Fantastic. Well, the reason why I'm asking that question is because obviously, as you know and our listeners know, this is a paranormal podcast. And we had actually heard a rumor. I'm sorry, guys, I lost my spot. So I heard a rumor. David, cut that last part. So the reason why we had asked this question is because obviously we are a paranormal podcast and we talk about all things, anything and everything paranormal. And we had heard a rumor that there are some paranormal activities that occur in the Kellogg House Museum on the property. Mm-hmm. In fact, there's even a video that can be found on YouTube of these stranger, remind me, dresser drawers? Are they just drawers that open and close?
They're it's like a built-in china. When Hiram Kellogg built the home, he built the entire dining area into the curve. So it's a curving china that's into the wall, and the drawers, they actually open and close on their own. And the tour guide seemed to be really confused because it wasn't planned. She had no idea.
Yes, exactly. In that video, you see the tour guide wondering if there's a switch of some sort or like a button to stop the dresser drawers from moving.
Maybe
she
thought it was something that was mechanical.
Yeah, or she thought it was like a prank or something. And the kids that are there
just
are laughing the entire time. But you do hear the person that is recording say, "Oh, it's the Kellogg ghost again." So you and I, Kevin, had talked previously, and you were actually aware of the fact that the Kellogg house is haunted. Knowing that you were aware of this, did it scare you or make you rethink about having the event at the Heritage Museum of Orange County?
No, it's so funny. I've had, as a kid, when I go through there as field trips, I was blissfully unaware. I was just like, yeah, this is a cool little historic place. And then now going through, we looked at this place and for the reasons I mentioned before, secured the venue. And then the person we're talking to is the director out there was like, hey, you know that it's really great. And she is really in love with Halloween. It was just like the whole idea. She's like, that whole paranormal thing is attractive to her. And she was like, you gotta know about this stuff. There's also some other stories and some history. And she told us the stories. And so after we had already fell in love with the place, I was like, this makes it even more perfect. So I am just more excited about the fact that there are people who really would seek out a venue like this because of just that fact that it's got that cool significance to it.
Right.
And what a great place to hold this venue. But yeah, she told us a bunch of stories and a lot of the things are from firsthand that she's either witnessed herself or and heard of recent things. So it's great. Since we're on the subject, I'll show you one thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was, everything like you mentioned before, the drawers and things opening. There's one thing that there's lots of school field trips and things, and one kid was overheard getting on the bus, looking back at I think it was a blacksmith shop. That I don't like that man. He's mean looking, and there's nobody there.
Wow.
Right? So that was just one of the somebody adult had overheard that and thought it was strange.
Man.
Like, what's going on?
Then and then the staff had one time they opened up I remember the Mag House, which is another house, or the Kellogg House.
Okay.
On the property where they were opening it up, and in one of the rooms, like off in the back and across kind of a hallway, there's a man who with a kind of a bolo tie and a hat, like a period looking kind of costume crosses.
Wow. So they just get
opened it for the
apparitions
morning.
left and right, guys.
Wow.
That's insane.
That was really cool. The other thing that I think is really great, there was a party that they hosted, like a trick-or-treat thing back in, I think it's 2017, so kind of a Halloween style thing. And they had a makeup artist that were there to just make people up. And the intern, they just had a really great costume that worked at the property there. And they had some dry ice in their fountain that's out in front of the Kellogg House.
Okay.
And went and took a picture. She said they took about 15 pictures, just getting people pose and stuff like that. So there's a whole bunch of pictures. There's one that was uniquely different. And I'll show it to you guys now and see if you can see. For the listeners, this is we posted on our Instagram a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to
I'm sorry, yeah, if you can see. So there's a face
Yeah.
that you can see, which was not in any of the other pictures, and it's just this unique kind of thing that they, after examining all the pictures, like, well, which one am I going to keep? Well, of course, that one is. Look at how very interesting that one is. So there's a face and kind of some clouds of the fog right behind the person that's in the costume.
Oh my goodness. All right. Listener, we're actually passing around a tablet right now and we are looking at these pictures and I'm looking at, oh my goodness. Okay.
I thought that was cool.
Right?
And we've got a good relationship with her. She's like, I swear to you, none of this stuff was doctored. We didn't change anything. But out of like I said, a kind of a glamour shots of like 15 or so. They just this one had this,
and it's really clear. It's
that's the clearest I've seen in a long time.
It's like you wouldn't be able to just assume that it might be pareidolia and it might be something that you just catch in your eye, like oh, it looks like a face.
It's right there.
You're not having to interpret like clouds or whatever. It's pretty much there. Yeah.
So, listener, if you're wondering why G-Man is so quiet right now, it's because I am staring at this picture, looking at this fog and mist, and seeing a face right next to the person. We're definitely going to have to post this up on our Twitter and our Instagram, especially on yours, Kevin, because this is amazing.
We posted ours about 2 months ago or so.
Okay.
There's lots of stories also on, heritagemuseum.org is their website, and they've got some of those stories as well. So they do have a kind of a haunted tour because of some of these stories. They do tours on the property, and they also have a haunted tour that they do as well.
Nice.
Part of the greatest thing about, the opportunity to be here was knowing, oh, what a great thing. We've got this venue and we can use that. It's just not one of the things that I think we're not ready to tout right now because with things changing so often, there might be a restriction on indoor use.
Right.
So we're not going to go ahead and say we're going to have that tour as part of it, but people can book time to go out there. As the venue is open to the public, and it's just really, really cool to see.
That is amazing. That's an amazing picture that you guys have of this apparition that is literally just showing itself to the public, to you. That's amazing. And it's funny actually. You get that actually quite a bit in tours, especially ghost tours or some sort of Halloween event, or even a venue that is haunted. People will just take random pictures, and I love it because you have the ones, Rene, for a fact that you got people that are taking pictures trying to find this stuff, and nothing comes out, and then the ones that are just taking pictures, and next thing you know, there's a ghost of some sort or a spirit or apparition or something.
Blue dress.
Yeah, blue. Oh yeah, the blue dress. I don't know, listener. That was back when we had Ashley and Kelsey on season 1, and they went to the Roosevelt Hotel, and there was a blue light that kept showing up in the crotch roll region of the people that were on the show, and I don't know. That was really strange. Renee, you remember seeing that picture and just being weirded out by that strange one? You saw that too.
Yeah.
It was a weird picture, but it was definitely interesting. So with the types of activities and vendors that are going to be showing up, I got to ask this question. This is actually to Strange One, because this is going to lead into a question to you, Kevin. Strange One, remind me, your brother used to run a catering service, correct?
Yes, he had a gourmet food truck. And yeah, I guess you can say he did catering as well.
What was it called again? It was the
Kraken.
The Kraken. That's right. It was gourmet seafood. The Kraken.
Missed that Kraken.
It was good. It was fantastic. So the reason why I'm asking this is because, Kevin, since you are having vendors there, will it all be Halloween themed? Will all the vendors be Halloween themed as far as food goes?
Food, yes. I mean, pretty much everything that. Okay. I see what you're saying. Everything else that we have represented, we're really strict on wanting to make sure that it's representing that culture, because these are the folks we're drawing, and we want to make sure that it's not. We have gotten people reaching out to us saying like, "Hey, here's an event that's happening, and I've got stuff I sell, things that might not be specifically themed to Halloween,
right?
And it's an opportunity for them to showcase themselves, which I can totally appreciate. But we're wanting to make sure we're reserving our space for those who are really in that business, so that somebody who's coming for that purpose doesn't stroll around and have just like, I need to find something that it really suits me. All that stuff should suit you, because we got a wide range of things represented. As far as the food, we were really looking for things that are have that kind of that theme. Haunt and horror and things like that. Dogzilla. We were looking at like food trucks that have names that are fun. So I can't comment on who exactly is coming this time, but we've just got some. I think that if anything, the food is probably the one thing that isn't going to be so precise. It will be like, this is going to satisfy you and it's going to be good stuff.
Yeah.
Last year we had a taco truck, and we had a kind of an everything else truck, sandwiches, stuff like that, and then a dessert, coffee, things like that. So,
cool.
So we'll make sure that it's represented that those who are going to be there for a while have got options, and whether or not it sticks with the theme. I think as we go on, if we do this again next year and we start to kind of search around, we find some folks that we really want to get into that niche, and because there are those, so we're keeping our eye out for them.
Awesome,
That's
fantastic.
Great. And I have a question. Given that we're expecting, there's food, there's vendors, there's people walking around, and with what's going on right now with the pandemic, are there any safety measures, any preventative actions that you're taking towards preventing or help guarding against the spread of coronavirus, in case anybody happens to, hopefully everybody's conscious enough that if they're feeling sick, they do stay home. We do want everybody to have fun, but we would encourage people to keep in mind the safety and health of others, and their own. But do you have, or are there any measures that you and your production company are taking in preventing and helping secure the safety of the participants in your event?
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough that it's interesting, as talking, back from February, March with vendors who are interested. Some of them are gung ho. Some of them have questions and stuff, and we're kind of a little reserved. But others are just, great. And I think that trust is what's really important. That like, if they're repeat from last year that we had, and they know that we're going to run an event that's going to respect them and keep everybody safe and stuff, then that's great for us. So the great thing too is that it's not all pressure on us. We are working with a fantastic venue that, like I said, is a public facility that hosts weddings and school field trips and things like that. So they have guidelines that they're very strict with, and they are open, like I said now, but they do require masks. Like I know the county does as well. If that tends to get lifted, I think they're still going to have their own type of requirements. We've on our website and through social media, we've kind of announced that we're really taking this seriously and want to make sure that everyone's safe. I can't comment on what specifically we're doing, just because it's probably going to change. So whether or not the county has guidelines of in public areas still wearing a mask, I think that we've got to consider, we have whether or not somebody who shows up is going to be, is be concerned with that or not. We have vendors and people who are working for the venue who are going to be there that we want to make sure we're respecting and keeping safe. so some of the things that mask is a very basic thing. You know, the hand sanitizing stations and things like that.
Right.
We're probably not going to have access to the indoor venue, or at least as of now, I would say that's probably a bet. So everything is outdoor, but interaction with the vendors and with people, I think is probably going to be pretty similar to what we're seeing now at things like farmers markets and places that are open right now. But we do have some other really unique things other than just vendors who have their booths that are selling great products. We've got some local haunts represented.
Oh,
and
nice.
Cool.
And they're going to have some experiences that vary with intensity. But I know we've been talking to them all, and they're all considering their own versions of how to kind of make things, make it adaptable.
Okay.
One example is a scare moment that would normally happen with an actor close proximity.
Yes.
And so they're going to do whether it's a plexiglass or they're going to completely change the way the room is or something like that. But they are redesigning the way that they're going to do that scare so that we're making sure that everybody's safe. And so, and then wherever we see that we need to have sanitizing happen in addition to just people's hands, as far as wiping things down and stuff, we'll identify those. We will be doing many walkthroughs with the venue to make sure we've buttoned down all those things and what they're requiring. They also have some other events that aren't ours that are coming up that they're going to learn from and we're going to learn from as well. So we're following really closely with that. So
awesome.
Yeah, great question. We're really intense. I mean, it's like I said, we secured this before everything happened, and then as we were kind of riding through it, like, wow, we're getting closer. We're okay. I think we're going to do it. But look, I mean, all these other things are happening. We're really following, the haunt community, and there's lots of other home haunts, professionals, things that are happening. East Coast and the Midwest and places that are open now that are actually doing stuff, and they've published some really great guidelines to follow. So
awesome.
That's something we're
Yeah, because I know that's just like a really big concern. I know the focus for this episode was to talk about Creep It Real O.C. and what's going on, but it also feels like a lot of people that I have talked to about. I hope you don't mind, Kevin. I've talked to a lot of people about you coming onto the show and how excited I was. And so people were wondering, like, well, what are they going to do to keep things safe, with this pandemic going on and, washing your hands and wearing a mask and everything. So, again, thank you for sharing with us what measures you guys are taking to make sure that everybody is safe. Renee, you said you had a question.
It's almost a similar question. So basically, I wanted to ask, was there a moment when the pandemic was like, when they announced everyone's going to go on lockdown, was there a moment where you felt or was scared that it might not happen this year?
This is the optimist in me, but no, because I don't know. It's funny. It very well could happen. I mean, we were very transparent with each other and with everybody that we've been talking to about, like, hey, it could go very different than what we're planning right now. But remember back in March and April, it's so funny to talk about this years ago,
feels like it. Yeah.
But we were just like, oh, cool. We're in September, so we would see things get canceled, right? Like, the other events, like I mentioned before. But we're saying, like, oh, we're in September, we'll be fine. And then as the summer goes on, and then as now it's a little closer, we're almost at 2 months. We're starting to see that there are still things that are opening after the actual lockdown. We're seeing now, like, hey, people are allowed to go about business with certain precautions, and we go, oh, we kind of fit into that, because, like I said, we compare ourselves with the farmers markets, which are open now, and we've seen food truck parties happen and things like that. So those are very similar in that you've got people interacting with each other, and we're taking proximity, spatial awareness into consideration, and how the kind of obviously those trucks are regulated by the OC Department of Health, and so they are they've got their guidelines that they're abiding by, and so all of our vendors are doing the same. Whether it's kind of touchless payments and things like that for their products. The haunts, like I said, are setting up things, but there's no interaction with merchandise. You're just kind of going through a haunt, and so whatever kind of sanitizing we need to do, we'll evaluate. And as things get closer, we want to see what their plans are, what they've got, and then we'll start mandating what needs to happen. So I would invite people to keep up on our website and social media. We're going to be posting that. Right now, we were just very vague about it because of how far out we are and how much everything really just changes on a weekly basis.
Things can change.
And so we are going to get pretty specific, though, as time gets closer. Watch for that, because I know that's what a lot of people are hanging on for. What are we going to do? At the very least, like I said, it's a venue. You show up. we, our tickets are on Eventbrite, so you really don't need to have that kind of a lot of contact.
I love that, by the way, that you guys are selling your tickets on Eventbrite.
Yeah.
I came across that I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago as kind of like an accident. And I thought to myself, this looks like a scam of some sort. And we tried it actually for an event. We tried it, and oh man, I got to say, much better than having to go and pay money, like
Wait
cash
in
up in front.
line,
Yeah, it's so much easier. And with this pandemic going on, like you said, it's a lot easier now to go and pay online. So that's fantastic. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no, and it just works out. Like a lot of those things are, when it comes to the technology that we're using, we're like, and touchless payment that the vendors can have access to. It just happens to work out for this, and it's a benefit, and it's also it's efficient for them, but it's also a safety precaution. So there's that. But even if nothing else, it's it's an outdoor venue, like a park kind of atmosphere. There's lots of open space that we can spread out our vendors. Really, it's awesome. So we're not thinking of it as whereas farmers markets, you've got rows of kind of tents or booths, right?
Yeah,
and
and
you
they're
kinda go up
all
and down
right
the rows.
next to each other, and
And there's some places that we've, there's other areas, whether they're venues or parks or whatever, where they've got arrows and you go a certain direction, and so those are all things we're considering. It's just that we've got the luxury of space to be able to plan things out where we want them, and then I would say at this point, the only thing to answer your question that I'm nervous about is just are we going to need to cap capacity? So like that was the only thing I was scared is how many people would be able to. Maybe we stagger, or maybe we allow only a certain amount of people in one location. So that just comes with people who are monitoring that, and so those are all things that now we're about 2 months out. We are starting to figure out and clamp down on. So
fantastic.
So we got that. So
Awesome.
we're going to be looking at that.
Hear, though. Yeah.
But it's also great. I mean, it's we're not alone in it. I'm not just trying to plan it, and we've got this great partner in the venue that we're working with, and then we're listening to feedback from people. We're watching what others in the industry are doing too, and we're saying like, hey, that's a great idea. Is there a kind of a mask break area where you can go and like remove your mask? So there's a big, huge part of the park that is this. Very wide open space that strolling along dirt paths and things like that. So we think about maybe could we do something like that. But again, these are all things we're looking at. But we're taking cues from everybody who's come before us and from the people who are asking questions, and we're really looking at all of those angles.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's great.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
fantastic.
Really good. You said last year you had a taco vendor, a sandwich vendor. It seemed that this year it's going to be a lot larger. Are you expecting a larger amount of food trucks or a variety of foods for participants to be able to enjoy?
Yeah, as far as the variety, we're open to that. I think that we would look at what is people are going to want some sort of a meal and then like a dessert and then like or a drinks or coffee or something like that. So is all that represented? And then within the actual meals though, everybody's going is it a pizza thing or is it tacos, is it burgers, is it barbecue, burritos, that kind of thing. So so while we're looking at securing, we're also kind of balancing like people interested, say like, hey, can I come by? Sure, but we have this thing already. We also want to be careful that we're not taking business away from others,
Right, yeah.
There's certain times where it's, last year we had a pretty good balance, but we want to make sure that nothing was really overrun. We had plenty of space for everyone as far as food. I mean, there's lines out in front of the trucks, but it wasn't anything overbearing to where it was a bad experience and we're running out of food, or there's not enough for everybody, or there's big lines. It wasn't like that. So I think even though we expect it to be bigger, we'll consider all that, that we might need to have more. We also want to make sure that we've got space on the grounds for us to spread out, and even like the seating and stuff. Got a great kind of space there for music. We've got some great music that's going to be planned as well. And so how do we space that out where people are either standing there watching and enjoying, or are we out in front of the food venue kind of eating areas? And so we've got two different places that we're going to be placing musical acts. And then so while we want to have enough food, we also want to leave space so that we can spread out. And we've got great partners that are bringing some vehicles and stuff that are really fun too. And that's always fun. Just have some atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
So as far as the parking that's available, we'll have the OC Ghostbusters are coming with a lot of their vehicles.
Oh,
and stuff.
yes. I'm sorry. I'm a fan of them. I love them. They're great.
Are fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? And we've got some hearses and things that are just fun to kind of pepper throughout the place, that the vehicles. So the food trucks will be in one spot, and we'll have hopefully we'll have enough of that and make sure we're balancing. And we're also watching our tickets and just to make sure, like, do we have enough? we not have enough? That kind of thing.
Okay.
To see that we've got food represented. So yes, strange one. We've got you covered. We will have. We're considering all the food options. It's a big item on our list.
great.
Well, strange one, you know what that means now.
It means I'm going to be having a good time. I'm going to be spending most of my time, listener, around going from food truck to
You'll
food
know where
truck.
to
That's
find
right.
strange
And
ones.
just standing
That's
in front of the
right.
musicians. I might even jump on stage at one point. I'm like, hey, I see an open instrument right there.
my
I'm going to
gosh.
jump on.
I can just picture Strange One going to all the food vendors and he's recording. All right, listeners, this is Strange One. I am over here at the taco vendor right now, just going on and on, describing it.
And then 2 seconds later, all right, listeners, I'm over here at the sandwich vendor now, and this got this great sandwich. You got to try this hoagie.
David, can you throw in some sandwich noises and some crunching noises here? Because
Sandwiches shouldn't crunch.
they shouldn't.
Just
They
nom,
shouldn't.
nom, nom.
Well, that's going to be fantastic. Oh, my goodness.
I would love to see all that happening. Have a burrito in one hand, you got some drinks
How
up there
great would
on
that
the.
be?
We've got the Rhythm Coffin, which is a great band.
Oh,
and they're-
no way.
Lots of great interaction.
Oh, my gosh.
They're amazing performers.
Yes,
do
they
some
are.
Great, stage presence and things like that. So,
Yes,
yeah,
they
they dress up. They
I
got great
love
music.
them. I
Yeah.
love them.
So
That's
we'll see you
fantastic.
up there dancing up a storm.
Yeah, challenge accepted. I'll be having that burrito and sandwich in both hands.
Strange One, please dance with them. I want to see you dance.
Oh, yeah.
As weird as that sounded right now. Not now.
I
but
just
over
want to
there.
dance.
Yeah, how long has it been, right?
Nobody.
Several months at least.
Nobody put Strange One in the corner. All right. So I do have one last question that I was actually going to ask you in the beginning of the show, but I figured for some reason I just wanted to ask it at the end. And that is, when did you first fall in love with Halloween? Like, when can you recall when you had that moment of like just excitement and overwhelmingness of that it's Halloween? Like you woke up and went, it's Halloween, and just started losing it, because I do it every year. So
And there's others who we talk to on a regular basis who are like that all year long. So it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't
we have
end
one.
really.
We have one actually that works on the show with us. Nicole. She's Halloween every day, or what is it? She said it's Halloween all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
So for me, I remember specifically. Well, I can't say specific because I can't remember if it was like 4th or 5th grade, but I was Peter Pan for Halloween. My mom made the costume, and it was just I was very into
Fantastic.
Disney. And Disney, I was very into them. They've just got a lot of great kind of Halloween type stuff. I mean, as far as the content, I remember watching things as a kid. A Halloween package where they put together all the villains and all the songs that the villains do and stuff. So,
nice.
so that type of Halloween feel, I remember getting. I even had makeup. I don't remember what. Peter Pan doesn't do makeup, but I had all that because I had the smile, the whole thing, like his ears, and I had a costume my mom made, and just that whole idea of this was a time where you can be something that something else, and of course and then the whole week you're kind of doing activities. So at school we had a school kind of outdoor dance thing.
You guys do that parade where you walk around.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah,
My son did that last year. I was so proud of him. That was amazing.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I do remember that as like this point where, like, wow, I really embrace it. And of course, every year it just gets better and better. As a kid, we had pillowcases that you would take out on trick or treating.
Yep.
Pillowcases. And I remember that I would several years in a row during my school years, this orange pillowcase, Halloween themed, kind of orangish print on it, and I had Halloween. I would dump it out on the carpet and just go through everything. But then I would slowly be eating it. And I remember at one point that it was March. I don't remember when, but I remember March. I was still eating Halloween candy. I don't remember what year that was. I was a kid still, but my mom was, March, what are you doing eating Halloween candy? So some of it was still good, I'm sure.
That's one of my
But you
favorite
don't care as a
things.
kid.
I love that when the candy's still around. Like, I love when, I've had it till December one time.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is still good. All right, stocking. Like, I'm just, it's just easier sometimes.
Did you ever get candy taxed by your parents?
Never got candy tax.
No,
candy tax. Sorry,
tax.
Candy tax. Wow, I can't
Yeah,
talk.
of course. But I think they sneak it sometimes.
Yeah.
When,
Yeah.
me, they never really said it
Is
out
that
right.
like tax, like thumbtacks in your candy? I remember doing the whole sleeping or pillowcase. And mind you, I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so we had a lot of candy, and it was a big goal to get each bag filled. It was a mission.
So awesome.
I love that when, as a kid, we got the pillowcase, and you're like, you go home and you're like, how did I get this much candy in this bag? And then when you get older, you're like, no, I am determined to fill this pillowcase
You're
up.
filling up to the brim.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's amazing. And thank you again for telling us that. That was really nice.
Thanks.
Well, I think that's going to do it for us here on another episode of Into the Void. But before we go, let's enjoy one last word from our sponsor.
Hail, thine all father, for only he can supply such jewelry, watches, axes, and apparel as one would find at VikingJeans.com. Find Viking styles for all members of your family. Lo, do they have styles for thine father? Lo, do they have styles for thine mother? Lo, they have styles for thy brother and sister too. Viking Jeans has the Norse wear for you and yours. So before riding into battle alongside the Valkyries and the mighty Thor with his trusted hammer Mjolnir, be sure to visit VikingJeans.com. That's VikingJeans.com.
All right, listener. Well, I hope you enjoyed what you heard here. And do us a favor, head on over and visit our social media pages where you can go ahead and see pictures from the show, get updates on what's going on with the show. You can find us at Instagram at Void Podcast 18, Facebook at Pod Paranormal 87, Twitter at Nightwing Silver. And remember, you too can get yourself a sweet custom-made Into the Void sticker by joining our Patreon. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to our YouTube channel. Just search Into the Void Podcast. Mr. Valentine, it has really honestly been a pleasure to have you on here, and I believe I speak for the whole team when I say thank you so much for taking time to join us and speak with us today.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate it. It was great being here.
And I really cannot wait, honestly, for Creep It Real OC, guys. I mean, okay, look, you know how I feel about Midsummer Scream.
Yes.
So you know that I'm a huge Halloween nut. The fact that they canceled really got me upset. Then Dark Harbor, gets canceled and I get upset. And then I'm thinking to myself, what the heck am I going to do? And lo and behold, Kevin Valentine shows up and saves me.
I need my Halloween fix. Where can I go?
So again, I'm very
Creep It
excited
Real
for this. Super excited for this. Thank you so much. And lastly, a big thank you to our sponsor for this episode, Viking Jeans. Listener, if you haven't already, go check them out. They've got amazing products. They have a beanie that Strange One really, really wants, and also an axe, I believe that he wants also. They have some amazing products on there. I know for a fact that actually was working with them. They're going to be sending us a couple of things, so we might be doing a giveaway soon.
Cool.
Yeah. So, again, listener, check them out. It's Viking Jeans. All right. Well, that's going to do it for me. I'm G-Man, and I got to go help Dracula put some more sunscreen on his back. So until then, thank you for falling with me into the void.